Welcome to the National Museum of Industrial History's Meet the Manufacturing series. I'm Karen Mossinger, President and CEO of NMIH. Here at the museum, we seek to explore not only the past, but also the present and future of industry in America. The Lehigh Valley, with its rich history of industrial innovation, is home to more than 15,000 businesses contributing to a diverse manufacturing base. Join us monthly for an inside look at Monterey manufacturing with representatives from local companies and help us celebrate the people, machines, and ideas that transform our daily lives. Meet the Manufacturer is made possible through the generous support of our premier sponsor, Lehigh Valley Industrial Parks, and also our series sponsor, Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation. And with your support, you can help us to inspire this and future generations of inventors and innovators by texting the word industry to 44321. You'll receive a secure link to make your donation. Or you can visit our website at nmih.org. We look forward to seeing you at the museum soon. Enjoy the program. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Meet the Manufacturer. Tonight, we are thrilled to have Michael Tierney, founder and CEO of Stuffed Pup, a manufacturer of chocolate-filled marshmallow. Recently opened a 150,000 square foot facility right here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Michael. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kara. Thanks for having me.
We have a number of questions for you tonight. I remember the first time that I actually saw your product. It was here in the museum. We bought some to give some away at one of our youth programming. And one question that I have right off the bat is, what inspired you to come up with this amazing innovation?
So that takes us back a number of years. It's about 2008. I am a freshman, sophomore in college. One summer, sitting around a campfire in New Jersey at a friend's house and realizing that I really don't like s'mores. And I really didn't like marshmallows either. And I've got a food background. So I grew up working in the food industry. I went to culinary school after high school and worked in some fine dining restaurants after that. And so I was always thinking about creating and always thinking about food. And so I'm sitting there with these marshmallows and chocolate bars. And I said, you know, what I don't like is that it never looks like a commercial. That chocolate never melts the way that you'd expect it to. And you've got this roasted marshmallow and this hard piece of chocolate that skates around the graham cracker like a hockey puck on ice. And it's a messy experience and it's not that great. And I probably like millions of other Americans, I sat there and I ripped a marshmallow open and I stuck a piece of chocolate inside and I seamed it up and I roasted it over the fire. And sure enough, it melted from the inside out. And the beautiful thing about being 19 is you think you're the smartest person in the world at 19. And so I thought I was the only person who could have ever come up with this unique invention. And I thought I invented the wheel or something of that magnitude. And it was another 4 or 5 years before I finally said, okay, I can't stop thinking about this every day. I need to leave what I'm doing. And I left the restaurant industry. I was at 11 Madison Park in New York City. And I said, I need to leave this. I need to go try this and see what happens. And so that's really how we got started.
Wow. 19 years old, that's pretty impressive. So I've read that it took you 7 years actually to perfect the innovation without giving away any of your secrets. Could you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Sure. So, circa 2012, I said, I'm going to go all in on trying to make Stuffed Pups a reality. And for me, that reality had to be at a pretty big scale. So I had no interest in making, small batches out of my kitchen and starting, with a couple regional players and then moving national over a period of years. My fear was that when we came out with this invention that I thought was all my own, I would be copied really fast because it was so obvious. And so We actually didn't patent any of our processes. All of our processes are trade secreted. But the story is that I started visiting with other manufacturers. So first thing I did was build a Rule Goldberg machine in my basement, and that had many iterations to it. And I got to a point where I figured out what I thought it would take to take this from the bench to scale, right? And the nice thing is I knew nothing. I never was in big manufacturing. I don't have an engineering background. I'm pretty dangerous at it now, but at the time it was all white sheet of paper. And so I didn't approach this with any of the habits or the common trade wisdom of how you make candy, which was a blessing in disguise. Because as I started to take this out to find a supplier, to find someone who could make this for me at scale, all too often now, when you launch a consumer product in the food and beverage space, you're beholden to a co-packer. That's the typical model. You're basically a brand and marketing company, and you have a large scale manufacturer who makes products for a bunch of different people who then can make your product. So if you were to go launch a sports energy drink, it's unlikely you would build a plant to bottle your beverage. You would go and find someone who can do that for you. And so I went down that road. It seemed like that's what everyone else was doing. And so I remember the first big meeting I had with a major marshmallow supplier. I get to this meeting and I'm thinking I'm going to open Pandora's box for these people, right? Like I'm going to give them this concept. They're going to go, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. I can't believe we never thought of this. And so I bring all these handmade samples and this whole plan on how to actually engineer this. And the CEO of the company leaned in and he looked at me, he goes, "Son, do you think we never thought of that?" And I said, "Well, honestly, yeah, I do think that." And he goes, "No, it's been the running joke around here for like a decade on why don't we put the chocolate on the inside? Trust me, we've spent millions of dollars on this. If we could do it, we would have done it. Go get a job." And I said, "Okay. Now I know my idea is not that great, but if I can execute on it, this is going to be really exciting." And so I traveled the world, literally, short of Africa and Antarctica. I went everywhere else looking for either an equipment supplier who could say, yes, we can do this, or a manufacturing partner who said, yes, we can do this. And what I found was everyone had the same response. Yeah, we've seen it. We've tried it. It's impossible. Go get a job. And at the time, I'm like 22. So the whole go get a job thing makes a lot of sense. And what I took away from that was there's a market for this, right? If people have spent money trying to execute this and failed, they only did that because they know that there's a market to sell this product to. And so thankfully, because I didn't have the experience of, making candy for 50 years and saying, this is the way everything has to be done, I looked at it and said, anything's possible. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I can do it however I want. And so we built a lot of our own technology to bring this to life. And so we partnered with Factory, which is right next door to you guys. It's a investment accelerator in the CPG space, and Rich Thompson is the head over there. And Rich also likes crazy ideas, right? I mean, he helped build Fresh Pet, and it's a similar story where they told him, this is impossible. There's no way you can make refrigerated food for dogs and cats. There's no space in the retail store. There's no way to supply chain it, all this stuff. And he said, okay, well, I'll prove you wrong. And now that's a $7 billion company. And so I brought this to him and I said, I've got this really crazy idea. And he goes, I love crazy ideas. This is great. Let's do it. And the nice thing about crazy ideas is that if you can execute them, you have a pretty big moat around you. And so we opened our first facility in Wisconsin. We found a candy facility out there that was for sale. And so we purchased that for our launch partnership with Walmart. We said, we have to hit this date. We're going to do whatever we can to make this happen. We found this facility, we bought it, we gutted the whole thing, and we built everything ourselves. So, typically if you were to build a food manufacturing plant, you'd call a supplier of food manufacturing equipment. They would design you a whole line for your bottled beverage and you would drop it in and they would help you run it. We were on our own. So we had to design everything from the ground up. And so what that gave us was a really intimate relationship with the technology and the processes and the engineering of making this product, and continued to widen that moat for us between those who can't do this and have tried and what we're doing. And we thought that plant would last us for a few years, and 6 months into it, we're like, we're out of capacity. We need to figure out what plan B is. And so we've now built this new facility that you mentioned earlier that opened a couple months ago here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which has the scale to bring us to about 500 million in sales. So and the Wisconsin facility still runs 24 hours a day. So we are cranking out Stuffed Puffs in both locations.
That actually leads me to my next question. So what made you then choose the Lehigh Valley? I mean, we are proud to say that we have a rich history of industry, especially in the food industry as well. And you mentioned Rich Thompson, who is our neighbor here. But what made you choose Bethlehem as your next location?
So the Lehigh Valley obviously has this great history in manufacturing with Bethlehem Steel and others in the area, and still is the home to a lot of food manufacturers. It's also a great distribution location. And so I think we've seen the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world open up distribution centers here. FedEx just moved their big ground East Coast distribution center here. And the reason is because I think the statistic is you can reach 40% of Americans in 8 hours on a truck. And so for us, being a national brand, we wanted a footprint where we would be able to leverage our supply chain and also be in an environment where we could get really good people to be on our team who understand manufacturing, engineering, and food processing. And the Valley's rich with both of those things. So it made a ton of sense, not just because of our partnership with Rich and Factory, but because of the community here. And the experience that's in that community around manufacturing is why it made so much sense to be here for our second location.
So, understanding that your process is very proprietary, again, we don't want to get into your secrets, but could you tell us a little bit more specifically about the Bethlehem plant and how you kind of built up that facility, the machines, and how much of it was built from scratch?
Sure. So a lot of our equipment here in Pennsylvania is still very custom. A lot of it is our own drawings, our own engineering, our own fabrication. But there are components of it as we've scaled from, hand packing bags into cases like we do in Wisconsin to robotically doing all of that here that we were able to source from larger OEMs who specialize in robotic case packing or things of that nature. So what we've done in this in the second facility is say, okay, we've proven how to do this at scale in Wisconsin. Now we need to do it at really high speed. And to do things at high speed in today's world, it's the introduction of a lot of advanced robotics and advanced technologies that allow us to whether it's sorting product for which marshmallows make muster to go into a bag to a consumer, or it's high-speed wrapping, or it's high-speed case packing. A lot of that stuff we leaned on some really top-level partners from around the world who specialize in those disciplines. But for the secret sauce around how to do what we're doing, we're still the only horse in the race. So we just made a bigger, better mousetrap for that.
Great. So, we talked about building your product, building your brand. As a CEO, it's equally as important to build culture within your company. And that really revolves around a strong team. I want to take a moment to shout out to my team. I know I wouldn't be where I am without such an amazing team around me. So could you tell me a little bit more about your staff and what the structure looks like and how many people you have working for you?
Yeah, so we are Stuffed Puffs is nothing without our team members. There's no way I could do any of what we do alone. And we are about 200 people strong between both locations. And right now it's a pretty even split between the two. So Pennsylvania has our headquarter business. So all of our front office, our finance team, our marketing team, all of that's here in PA. But our manufacturing team is, in my opinion, the most important part of our process, right? Unless we can manufacture a really great product every day, doesn't matter how much we can sell. It doesn't matter how well we market it. And so our frontline team members on the floor are a huge piece of our success in both facilities. And structurally, we're probably pretty similar to a lot of companies, but culturally, I think we're really different. And so, I'm pretty young to be in the candy manufacturing space. It's an old boys club, and I'm not an old boy yet. And so I bring a very different philosophy to it, growing up in the era of the Googles and the Facebooks and all that of the world, and the way they build teams and culture. We're bringing a lot of those disciplines to our processes, and down to we provide free food and beverage to everybody who's here during their shift. And it's really high quality, healthy things to keep you energized and keep you moving throughout the day. So there's no soda, there's no bad for you items. And things like that make a huge difference. And culturally, I refuse to allow for there to be this divide between, the C-suite management and the floor. Look what happened to Bethlehem Steel. Didn't work well for them. And so for me, it's really important that we're all engaged on the floor every day. I'm in a lab coat right now. I spend most of my day out on the floor with the team. And there's no job that's too big or too small to do. And we're a huge proponent of leading by example. So, we really take pride in the fact that we're all willing to get our hands dirty and do whatever's needs to be done to build a great team and a great culture and make a great product. And what that's given us is a huge support from our team and from the community behind what we're doing. So we take a lot of pride in that.
That's great. Yeah, I strongly believe that behind a good product, there always has to be a strong team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of along that theme then, if we bring it back to manufacturing, if you were to take a look at the past innovations in the food industry, here at the museum, we always take a look at past innovations and try to connect it to future innovations. Where do you see the future of the food industry going?
I think as we look at the past, and I think this was one of the things that made all of the big manufacturers that I visited for 7 years tell me no, is that there is a pride in running things that are still from the early 1900s. Some are still from the late 1800s. You'd get a tour of these facilities and they're so proud to show their, mint machine that still pops out breath mints. That's there's still wood integrated into the engineering design, and you're like, where are we? It should be a museum in itself. And so for me, I kind of look at it from the other way and say, okay, food manufacturing in the grand scheme of engineering is relatively antiquated, right? We've gotten really good at doing the same thing over and over and over again. But if you look at other industries, whether it's advanced robotics or rocketeering or car manufacturing or some of these higher disciplines and the technologies they're doing to make those things happen, all of a sudden the whole world opens up a lot bigger. And you go, well, what if we steal this that no one's doing in food manufacturing, but they're doing in some of these higher level disciplines, these forward thinking, engineering places, and we bring that back to food? Then what happens? How much can we change the game by doing things like that? And so we're always looking to the future and to, lateral or parallel industries and saying, well, if they can do, if we can start exploring Mars, there's no way we can't put chocolate inside a marshmallow, right? Instead of looking at it from the other way and going, we've never been able to do this, we can never do this, it's impossible. It's like, it's definitely not. And so We definitely like to look outside of just the food space and say what other things are happening in the world of engineering that we can lean on and learn from, and then apply in some way to what we're doing.
So could you tell us what is coming up next specifically? What new flavors are you going to expand internationally, or anything?
We're focused pretty heavily on national distribution right now within the US. I'm sure in the next 12 to 24 months, we'll start expanding throughout North America. Marshmallows are really light, so they don't lend themselves well to shipping. And food is perishable, so it's hard to put it on a sea container and send it across the world. But on the other side, we have a ton of new flavors, fillings, and products coming out even this year that will change the mindset for the way you treat yourself when you're looking for that sweet snack. Right now, we launched originally with a milk chocolate filled vanilla marshmallow in a cylindrical shape. And we did that because I thought it would be the most obvious way for a consumer to go, I get exactly what this is. I know how to use it. I've been doing something similar since the Girl Scouts invented s'mores in the 1920s. And this seems like a better mousetrap. I want to try this. But at the same time, we're not a s'mores only company, right? We're really a technology company in food that is looking to disrupt candy in general, not just s'mores. And so the way we'll do that are with some of these new shapes, or with think about coatings on the outside of products, and you make this poppable type s'more item. Think about all different single serve options, where now we're not just meant for the campfire or you're baking in your kitchen, but you're also on the go snacking with our products in different formats. So there's a lot of really cool stuff happening. And in the next 4 weeks, we're going to announce a really new, great flavor that we think is going to be really successful. We're actually making it for the first time next week. So if you guys want to come up the block and get a sneak peek, I'll show you anytime you guys want to come over.
I'd love to bring my kids by. I think they.
Yeah, you have to.
Their minds blown by it, especially my younger one. She loves marshmallows. And that's actually my next question. So as a successful young entrepreneur, what would be your advice for any young person that's looking to get into manufacturing?
From an entrepreneurial sense, or just in manufacturing in general?
Just, well, I would say entrepreneurial specifically, to be able to come up with something new. You spoke about your experience of everybody telling you, get a job, get a job, get a job.
Yeah. And I think my experience is, it may not be that abnormal, right? I mean, it took us 7 years to get to the point where we could make something. I think that happens all the time, and people look back at it and go, oh, I just saw this for the first time last year and now it's everywhere. Wow, these guys came out of nowhere. Well, that's not always, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot under the water that people miss. But I think for those who are looking at, new ideas that they have, there's a couple things that I think are really important if you're going to be an entrepreneur. One is you have to be an eternal optimist. If you're not optimistic all the time about where you're going and what you're doing, it's going to be really challenging, because you will get, defeated by those who tell you you're crazy or you're out of bounds. And I think every good new idea gets hit with pessimism because it's new, right? We're so conditioned to like what's comfortable and what we know, that when something new comes out, a lot of the times there's this, we've never done that. Why would we be able to do that? But that is the genesis of innovation, whether it's in engineering or manufacturing or in technology or in anything. And so, being an eternal optimist is key, but also be able to constantly gut check the thesis and be open to changing it, right? And so our process has evolved tremendously over time as we continue to learn. And so if you're really hungry for information and learning, and you've got a stiff upper lip, It's an incredibly gratifying process to go through, even if some of it's extremely grueling at times. Um, but you have to be willing to be open to new ideas, open to constantly changing and pivoting and learning more and evolving every day. I think if you get stuck in the ways of your first iteration of it, you'll never get to where you need to go unless you got really lucky and you nailed it the first time, because things always change, especially in manufacturing as you scale, right? So as we went from the lab to the bench to our first plant to our second plant, each one was like a reinvention of the wheel to do the same thing, because you add a lot more sophistication, a lot more automation, a lot more speed, and all of that comes with new problems. So for those who are, rabid problem solvers and like things to be, nimble and changing on the fly every day, entrepreneurship is the perfect arena for that. But it's not conducive for people who are totally set in their ways and fold easily to the answer of no, because everything's got to be a yes. You got to just keep going.
Great. I think that's, I don't want to take up all the time with my questions. We had some questions come in from our viewers. So I'm going to turn it over to Megan Pildes, who is our VP of Business Development. Megan?
Thanks for joining us, Mike. I do have some questions from our viewers. How many marshmallows can you produce in a day?
Good question. So between the two facilities, we can make 3 million marshmallows a day. So pretty good quantity. So if you bring your kids, we'll see how many they can chow down before they can keep up with line rate or not.
I think they could make a significant dent.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm guessing this question may have come from a younger museum member. What happens when you microwave a stuffed puff?
So unlike other marshmallows that explode in the microwave, ours, if you just microwave them for like 6 or 7 seconds, the chocolate on the inside melts perfectly, and it's like this really gooey, delicious treat. So I encourage everyone to drop a graham cracker, kind of open face s'more, and microwave it for a few seconds and pop it in. It's really good.
I know what we're doing tonight. Do you see seasonality in your sales? Are there more marshmallows sold in the summer versus the winter?
Yeah, great question. For us now with our current formats, we definitely experience a big spike in the summer. So 4th of July is like our Christmas, right? That's where we really peak for the season. But that whole stretch from Memorial Day through Labor Day is a really high traffic time for s'mores. And as I think you saw last year, we started innovations into other seasons. So we did a Halloween SKU of individually wrapped stuffed puffs to share with your community and your friends and all of that during trick or treat. We did a chocolate peppermint bark this year for hot chocolate and winter baking. And so between innovations like that, what we're doing is kind of flattening that seasonality. So yes, classic milk chocolate is still our hero item, and that does have a huge spike in the summer. But we're bringing all these new platforms for you to enjoy stuffed puffs in a variety of different occasions that help us kind of flatten that seasonality and give us more sustained growth.
I think I saw on the website a pastel color sort of spring theme.
Yeah, we launched an Easter item that's in stores now, individually wrapped, pastel themed, great for Easter baskets, great for egg hunts. So definitely make sure you get your kids some of that or swing by.
Very cute. Another question is the DJ Marshmallow affiliated with Stuffed Puffs?
Yeah, so DJ Marshmallow is a equity partner in the business. So he is a great partner, brings a lot of his community and his massive, social following to drive awareness for the brand, which has been great for us to attract, eyeballs and educate consumers about who we are and what we're doing.
Excellent. How did being recognized for the Forbes 30 Under 30 award impact your work?
I went back to work the next day, just like any other. But it's always nice to be recognized for what you're doing, and it always gives you a little boost that you're on the right track. And it was definitely an honor. But um, today is a new day, and we keep grinding every day. So.
Well, it's an inspiring story, and it's something, we try and convey in the museum, especially with our field trips, that, to try, to fail, to come back to the drawing board and, share these stories of inventors who've succeeded, and let kids know that could be them.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's an
trying and
important
failing
story. Yeah.
is my middle name. I'm pretty sure my parents used to call me Murphy instead of Mike at some point. But anything we can do to help with the community and come and speak with the kids and tell them, to stay at it and be perseverant. Happy to help.
Right. And we have final question on how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your work and the company?
Another really good question. So thankfully, food manufacturing for national distribution has been considered an essential business, but we've had to change the way we do everything internally. So now we have scanners at the front of the building. When you walk in, you have your temperature taken immediately. We have segregated the doors, so you come in one way, you come out another way, so there's no mixing of people. We've had to space out workstations. We've had to do a lot of things beyond just the added PPE to keep our team members safe as possible, because like I said in the beginning, we're nothing without our team. And so it's critical to us to make sure that everyone stays safe, everyone stays healthy, and we're going to do whatever we have to do to keep doing that.
Awesome. Well, you guys are doing a great job bringing smiles into households all over the country.
That's cool.
Thank you so much for participating in this, and thank you to our viewers. I wanted to give a special thanks to our premier sponsor, Lehigh Valley Industrial Park, and to our series sponsor, Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation. Contributions from the community make programs like this possible, and we'd love your support. So text industry to 44321 to receive a secure donation link, or visit our website at NMIH.org. Thanks for joining us, everyone, tonight, and have a good evening.
The true hallmark of any location is the people, those who choose to call it home. Lehigh Valley is the land of makers and dreamers. Hard work is our heritage, and it's that heritage that fuels us. Our traditions unite us. Our legacy is determination. Our future will be built on the principles of creativity and perseverance. Because when others said we couldn't, we did. Some may think of us as underdogs, yeah? Well, never underestimate the underdog. Lehigh Valley has been and always will be home to those with great vision. We know the value of an honest day's work. We practically wrote the book on it. Out of the embers from the hands that forged a nation come those that are crafting the future. Now, if you'll excuse us, we've got work to do.